Hey guys, it's Miss Saunders, and the first thing we're going to do today before we get into the practice review is review the notes that you took on Monday. So a lot of this stuff you should have learned before 8th grade, especially something like first person point of view. And point of view just means perspective. So what we're trying to figure out is whose perspective are we talking about whenever we're reading a story. So what perspective is the story being told from? Like I said, you should already know first person, which is when we use words like I or we, as if I was telling the story. So I'm in my classroom right now and I'm talking, and we will go over this whenever I get back. The next couple that I'm going to be talking about are all the third persons. Now, what makes these different would be the last word in each of them, obviously. So here are some of my tricks for remembering them. Third person objective. The word objective means just the facts. That's why we're talking about something that's being reported by the narrator. We don't know anyone's thoughts and feelings. It's just an observation of what's happening. So we can see what's happening, we're visualizing it, an observation, or we can hear what is going on, like in dialogue. The way I remember this is like a reporter. When a reporter gets to the scene, they can see everything that's happening, they can interview people, but they don't really know how someone's feeling inside their head or what they're thinking of unless they're talking. The next one would be omniscient. Omniscient I remember because omniscient reminds me of the word ominous, and ominous kind of means spooky, like you don't know. And I think it's ominous that this person knows what everyone's thinking. So omniscient means that you know the thoughts and feelings of every single character, or more than one character. So it's kind of like if God or some entity was above us and looking down, they can hear the thoughts and feelings of everyone involved in the story. The last one is limited, and it's kind of like omniscient, except we're limited to one character's thoughts and feelings. So if we're reading a story and we're kind of observing what's happening with everyone else, but we have one character that's talking about their thoughts and feelings, that would be third person limited. Now let's get into the practice. Okay, so at this point, you should be looking at the same screen that I'm looking. You should be on Google Classroom under point of view, review, and you should all be following along with me so that we can do number 1 and number 2 together. If you are not there yet, I'm gonna ask the sub to pause right here so that you can get that stuff out. All right, here we go. Let's look at number 1. Gomez silenced his companions as the car pulled into the driveway. She was only 10, but she knew the ropes and stopped talking immediately. The driver got out of the car. He was a tall man in his 40s with a thin mustache. He matched the description of the man that they were looking for. That's the target, Gomez whispered. I'll distract him. You put this under his car, Gomez told the girl, handing her a small magnetic tracking device. So when you're thinking about this, do we know anyone's thoughts and feelings? Not really. We're kind of just watching what's happening. We can visualize everything they're saying, like imagine what they're doing, and we hear them talking, but we don't see any words like felt, feeling, thought, analyzed, dreams, none of those words that tell us we're inside someone's head. So we know for a fact that this would be third person objective because it's a report of what's happening. Now we need to highlight our evidence. How do we know this is objective? Well, for objective, all you would do is highlight something that you can visualize, like you're reporting, like you're watching it happen. So something we could underline or highlight would be a tall man in his 40s with a thin mustache. I can imagine that. We could also do handing her a small magnetic tracking device. I can imagine that as well. And the car pulled into the driveway. Those are all observations that a reporter would make if they're kind of scoping out the scene. Now let's do number 2. Jack, don't forget your coat, Mom shouted down the stairs. Already wearing it, Mom. Love you, I shouted back while stepping through the front door. The wind whipped across the street, tossing a light spiral snow through the air. My coat was already zipped, but I pulled it up as high as it would go and buttoned the top buttons. It was just that kind of day. A large snowplow came crashing down the street, sparks flying off of the steel plow as it scraped the asphalt. So this one should be pretty easy because I see words like I, my, and mostly those words. So that tells me this is first person. We should already know that from other grades before 8th grade. Now let's find our evidence. Really, you just need to find the words I, my, or any words like that. So we could do I pulled up, or I pulled it up, I shouted, my coat, and that right there is 3 pieces of evidence. So you need to tell me what point of view, and you need to give me 3 pieces of evidence.